Yeah, sometimes I do it live on Facebook. Sometimes I do it on YouTube, and I haven't tried to do it both at the same time. I usually pick one or the other and do it that way. So I'm going to do it on YouTube, my YouTube channel today. And what's really weird is that there is a delay. Mute that. There we go. There's like a 10-second delay. So if you really want to drive yourself nuts, right, have the audio on that play while you're doing the other. So, all right, looks like that's all operating. Great. We'll let that run behind the scene here. Let me go back here. I don't want that to totally mess me up here. There we go. I'm taking that off. Okay. Yeah, and I see everyone's on mute, and I do appreciate that because we can hear background noise, but please feel free to come off mute anytime, questions, answers. So I'll do a little introduction to myself, but before I even get to that, let me kind of introduce what we're doing this morning. And this is different. I haven't done one of these exactly like this before. Maybe I've done one that's close. I usually do virtual property tours. So a lot of the times on a Saturday, I'll do a virtual property tour of one of my fix and flip, one of my rehab projects. And I'll also do them on Friday evenings as well. But today what I wanted to do is really have an open forum, and that I don't want to just confine it to my fix and flip or my rehab business or questions about that. I really wanted a general overall discussion, whether it's questions, whether you have a property for sale, whether you want us to analyze a deal right on this during this meeting. Anything is free game that has to do with real estate. I don't pretend to know everything, but I have been doing real estate investing since the 80s. I've done it part-time many of those years, but I've also done it full-time for quite a few years now. I'm also a licensed real estate broker. So, you know, any direction that you want the conversation to go, I want this to be meaningful. I want it to be valuable for you. And I appreciate you guys being on. So let's continue on. By the way, if you like what you hear and maybe you want to hear it again, or there's something that you missed, I usually, I'm not promising this out, but I probably will have it posted on my YouTube channel. The recordings post automatically. Sometimes if I think, well, there's not a lot of value there maybe, or there's too much stuff that people don't need to know, or it gets too personal or whatever, I may take that off, the recording off. But normally I put them right on my YouTube channel. And if you haven't already, I appreciate subscribing to my YouTube channel. It's just youtube.com/Randy Pertler. That's my name. And then if you click the little bell icon, the notification icon, that way you get a notification every time I post a new video, or if I'm doing a live broadcast like this. And if you happen to be on your computer, you will get a notification of that. So just a quick background about myself. So this might help with your questions and so forth. I was a teacher and coach right out of high school. I did that for a number of years when I lived in Michigan. Then I was blessed enough to have become the vice president of sales of the divisions of 3 different publishing companies. 2 of them were pretty major publishing companies. But 3 times in my career, my position was eliminated. Once we got bought out by another company, another time we merged with another company, and then a third time, what happened was, actually it was in 2008, they laid off 300 people all at the same time, including myself, most of my support staff, and many of the reps and managers that reported to me. So the reason I throw that out is if you're looking at real estate or considering real estate and you're already in a job that you really love, it's still not a bad plan B. It certainly was a blessing in my life during those times where my positions were eliminated. So I have single family homes, I have rental property, I have multi-unit buildings, I do short-term rental, that's nightly Airbnb and VRBOs, those kind of sites. So I do nightly rentals. So if you have questions about that or interested in that type of real estate, we can talk a little bit about that. I mainly focus on flipping and rehabbing properties right now. I've rehabbed as many as had like 9 projects going on at the same time, which is very overwhelming. Right now I've scaled back a little bit because I'm also focusing on building a national brokerage team. And if you want to talk about that, I know that Hector on the line, he's a licensed broker. We can dabble into that a little bit. If the conversation goes that direction, be more than happy to talk to you about that as well. Currently, I think I have 4 rehab projects going on. We're looking at, just this week, looked at a large building in Chicago in a great neighborhood. It would be where the ARV, once we get it completed, would probably be $1.2 to $1.3 million building there, somewhere in that area. And we might do long-term rental there or short-term rental. We're playing with both business models, and probably we'll do a combination of both, more than likely. There's information there on my YouTube channel. I already talked to you about that. I am a deacon at my church. And there's my personal email address and personal cell number. So if you want to jot that down, my only rules on my cell phone, because I do give this out very readily, it's on my YouTube channel. So I don't want calls at all hours of the day and night. And I actually sleep with my cell phone like right next to me, because my projects have alarm systems on them. So I want to be in communication. If one of my rehabs, there's a problem or whatever, I need to be communicating 24/7. I manage my own property, my rental portfolio that I have. I'm managing those properties as well. So I need to be connected 24/7. So I just ask you, if you're going to even text me, your text will wake me up at all hours of the night. If you can't sleep at 2 o'clock in the morning, don't text me, because now we both can't sleep at 2 o'clock in the morning, because it will wake me up. And I have a hard time with everything rattling in my mind. I have a hard time getting back to sleep. So I just ask from 8 in the morning to 8 at night, Monday through Saturday. Sunday's my Lord's Day, so I try not to work on Sunday. So unless it's emergency, don't contact me on Sunday. All right. Well, let's get on. I have, maybe to stimulate some of the conversation, I do have some before and after pictures of some of my fix and flip projects. But before I go there, I actually want to stop right here at this point and open it up. We don't have to talk about fix and flip. We can talk right from the start about rental property, anything else. What you're doing, Hector shared with me before we got started here that he's just getting started in as a real estate investor. So I guess maybe that's a good place to start. Jason, if you don't mind coming off mute and just kind of tell us a little bit where you are in terms of your experience and what you're doing or looking to do.
Yeah, sure. Thanks for asking. I've been flipping houses for about 12 years. Bought my first rental property in 1999. Last year, I got my real estate license. And now I'm helping individuals invest passively in large multifamily projects. So that's, trying to reach people that are interested in investing in real estate, but don't want to have the phone next to their head all night.
Yeah.
So that's been something I've been working on for about 3 years now, and we're doing our first deal right now. And if anybody has capital to place, I'd be happy to talk to them about it, but would need to have a conversation first because it's a 506B. So
yeah, I was going to ask you about funding for that. So go ahead and let's share. This is good information. Go ahead and share how you're funding this particular project.
Yeah, sure. It's going to be 25% capital raise and 75% bank financing. It's a local bank. And so, yeah, it's a syndication, 506B, SEC exemption. And so, yeah, we have a number of shares, and I can't get into too much of the detail because I'm not allowed to advertise that because of the nature of the syndication, the SEC exemption. 506C would allow me to, and I would just be able to take accredited investors in that scenario. However, basically, we will be getting more opportunities in the future. So if anybody listening is interested, redbarnequity.com is my website for that business. And it's a great way to make above average returns. on
Right.
retirement money or just money you have sitting in a bank account and making
Yeah.
no interest. But yeah, flipping business is sort of helping us raise capital to put towards those projects. That's what I do. That's what I love.
Got you. We have some similarities there. That's most of my flipping business is, again, money that I raised then and looking at some of the longer term buy and holds. And I primarily raise capital through a little bit different business model that I'm not restricted with I've got to abide by the security laws, obviously, but it's not a security. It's actually a partnership that I do. I call it an equity partnership. I also do a lot with private money lenders. So there is a slide later on that I will go over that a little bit because funding's critical. If you don't know and have a plan, whether you're using a model like Jason does or like I do, then you're really confined to only doing deals that your own resources or your own credit can afford. And raising capital is critical, and understanding that. I am a part of a real estate investor training program that really teaches all of that. And it's dangerous. If you do it wrong, you could find yourself not just fined, but in jail. I mean, it's serious business. And a lot of people will approach me that's new or just coming into real estate or maybe dreamed about it for years. And they'll say this to me. They'll say, Randy, if I just had the money, I'd be a great real estate investor. I kind of laugh and I say, that's like saying, if I could just sing, I could win a Grammy. Well, of course, if you just had, they don't understand that being a real estate investor is knowing how to raise capital. It is doing those things and understanding what the laws are about securities, understanding the laws regard to retirement accounts. Most of my flips are either funded 100% or 50%. A very high percentage of my deals are funded through self-directed retirement accounts, not mine, but my partners, right? So knowing how to do that is just as important of knowing how to analyze a deal, figure out the ARV, figure out cap rates, figure out return on investments. It's critical. And I'm not saying you couldn't do like a one deal, maybe with your own resources, but if you really want to scale it up and make it a business and not a hobby and not supplement of income, but actually sustain an amount of income that really is in commensurate to your lifestyle, what you want to really achieve on your life, then you really need to understand finances. It's very important. So good. I'm glad we kind of went down that path a little bit with what Jason's doing. Like I say, we've got some similarities there. I know Frankie's background and where she's at, but I'd actually like her to come out and share because I know the others don't know where she's at. Frankie, can you come off mute and just kind of give everybody a little bit about your background and what you're looking to do in real estate? Frankie, you there? Can you come off mute?
Can you hear me?
Go. Yeah, now we can.
Okay, sorry, I was having a little issue with my computer.
That's all right.
Yeah, so I am 25 right now. So in 2018, I graduated with a bachelor's in science and social work, and I knew I didn't want to. I knew I didn't want to do social work because I knew that, there wasn't any money in social work. And like throughout college, I was just trying to figure out, what is it that I want to do with my life and, with myself. Nothing was very interesting to me because I knew I would be working for the corporate world. And I knew that I had bigger dreams and I wanted, I had visions of how I wanted my life to be. So, so my junior year, I picked up, of course, Rich Dad Poor Dad, and I just started reading. And then I just, I got all of his books and I just started reading. And so, I'm sorry, my camera's calling. I knew that, real estate was for me. So I just became obsessed with researching and and like YouTubing, different real estate strategy, but it wasn't enough for me. So when I graduated, I came to Chicago and went to different gurus and everything like that. And they were just really trying to sell me on different things. And then a friend of mine introduced me to this real estate group, and ever since then, I just been learning a lot of different strategies. So right now, I'm trying to figure out what strategy is best for me as far as real estate. But right now, I'm working on building my credit because I believe that that's a good start, and working, learning about private money lenders and everything like that. So, Randy has been a great mentor to me. So, right now, I'm, kind of in the shadows and learning about real estate. And when I do my first deal, I know it's going to be successful because I have great people behind me. So, that's where I'm at with real estate.
Put a little pressure on me there, girl. Thank
I
you very much. No, thanks for sharing that, Frankie. I appreciate that. So, are there any questions now that we kind of know each other a little bit, backgrounds and where we're at? Um, are there any questions before I maybe share some rehab before and after pictures, and we talk about maybe some projects that might, stir some more questions? Um, is there any questions that you have at this point, or things that you'd like to talk about, subjects that you want to go into around real estate? Okay, let's and please stop at any time. I'll share a few screens with you of some projects. Oh, before we go with that, I forgot, I actually had my mission statement out there. So when I decided to go to go into real estate full time, I was a part of this training community, and I was helping and giving back to the training that I had gone through and what kind of Frankie had talked about there. And so I wrote a mission statement about what I believed in terms of real estate. So it's a good place to maybe start if you're just getting started in real estate and you're watching this. And then I won't, read this whole thing, but what I do is I kind of summarize it. If I was going to summarize my mission statement, in three verses, they would be these three. For what would it profit a man if he gains the whole world and loses his own soul? But seek first the kingdom of God and its righteousness, and all these things will be added to you. And then the last one, once you become successful in real estate, it's kind of the giving back mentality that we have in our group. For everyone who exalts himself will be humbled, and he who humbles himself will be exalted. So that's just kind of a summary of, my foundation, where I come from. We really see real estate investing, our group, as problem solvers. The opportunities in real estate presents itself when someone has a problem and we can solve that problem for them. If you look at it, what are motivated sellers? The motivated sellers are people that have a problem. And if you can creatively solve that problem and create a win-win situation, that's what we're all about. We're not about taking advantage of people. When it comes to real estate, we're about solving problems, and we're compensated for that. We don't have to worry about our pay. If we're solving problems, we will be getting paid on those. And we use a variety of real estate strategies. And one of our philosophies is kind of to teach overall real estate, not just flipping, not just buy and hold, not just capital acquisition, but subject to and short-term rental. And because the more strategies the more people you can help. And the more people you can help, the more people, or the more you get paid. So that's just kind of an overall kind of background and summary of what we believe as a group. Here's one of my recent projects. These are some before pictures of a house that's right across from the golf course here where I'm at right now. And this is then starting a few of the before. I won't even say before and after. It's not all the way completed, but let's say before and during, or in some cases, if some of the rooms are finished. So when I do a rehab project, I'm really looking at how to add value, and which is normally in a lot of these bungalows in Chicago, for example, it's adding square footage, finishing the attic, maybe dormering if I have to, if the ceiling's not high enough. but adding square footage, that's called forced appreciation. So I always teach people when you're looking at the ARV, you're kind of set and you're trying to figure out what the value of the property is going to be, think like an appraiser, if by adding square foot, the finish in the basement could add 700, 800, 1,000 square feet to the living space. So that's obviously forced appreciation. It is going to be worth more. It is going to appreciate for higher. Finishing the basement, doing some of those things, updating kitchens and bathrooms. So forcing the appreciation is something that we do. We do a lot with older homes, and this is not that old a home in the picture. I think it was built maybe in the mid 70s, something like that. So knocking out a wall, opening it up. Now people want the open floor plan. But there's some before. These are European cabinets, very, sleek looking. The glass up on top, we actually put lights. There's the glass cabinets up on the top. We have a light that you can turn on, change the colors and so forth. This is a bathroom before and after. We actually even kept the tile that was on the floor and on the wall and had wall tile, but it really looked bad with green paint versus more neutral color that blended and worked well. New vanity, fixed the Whirlpool tub in the back of there. This is one of the, and I don't have a lot of before pictures on this one because that's sometimes when I start a project, I'm so involved in getting it going, I forget to get a lot of before pictures. So most of these are just taking old listings or something old I can get off the internet. Whoops, we repeated that one. There's the same bathroom, same shot. We actually kept the floor. I hate to get rid of something that's in really great shape, but I figure if I modernized everything else around that floor, you wouldn't even notice the floor unless I, point it out. Everything else is all updated tile and everything in the shower, updated vanity. The lighting's huge too. By the way, here I wanted to show, you can see it's not really an after, it's kind of a during, where all the supplies for the contractor. What we just changed, you can see in the picture on the left, it's just a dark wood paint color. The fireplace just kind of blends into it. It doesn't really pop. Well, now just picking the right paint colors and making it pop and brighter can make a big difference. So that was one project. Here's one downtown in the Bronzeville area of Chicago. This is, again, reconstructing where these had separated rooms. We opened the rooms up. You can see that's the same fireplace in those pictures, but just with the very minimum amount of work to it and painting and so forth, and opening up walls, we can create that modern look. That area right there, we put a half bath there because the old one was underneath the stairs. You had to like almost bend down to get into the bathroom, even if you weren't tall. Expanding kitchens, kitchens back in the day when they made these older homes, they were small. That was the norm. Making large kitchens by opening them up. That's something we try to look at doing in all of our projects. Creating a master bathroom. This was actually a common bathroom before. Now I reconfigured the floor plan so this becomes a master bath. By the way, stop at any time, ask questions. Well, this is that. So under the stairs here, you can see where the stairway is. Under those stairs used to be that half bath that's over there on the left-hand side. That half bath used to be underneath those stairs. Removing that, making stairs going downstairs because the stairs were in the kitchen. That's what allowed us to make had these little, not to code, just almost like going down to a dungeon type stairs that were in the kitchen, taking up space. So moving the bathroom so we can then put the stairs there, get it out of the kitchen area. This was just basically some repair work upstairs. We're finishing basements a lot. I actually like buying houses that have basements like on the left-hand side. My big criteria and people looking for houses for me, I always tell them this. One of the first things they say, oh, it's a great house, this. I'll say, what about the basement? They'll go into some, and I said, no, what I want to know is how high are the ceilings in the basement? That's all I really care about. How high are the ceilings, right? Because if they are high, you can finish that space, you can do things, you can add ventilation if you have to at a minimal cost, but raising the height of the ceiling, which normally means digging down into the basement, it's very expensive. And that's a big value if they have high ceilings. And then we can finish. So you can see the before and after picture there. it's a world of difference. So I love paying the price buying the house when it looks like on the left side, because there's not much, value in that, and it's usually reflected in the a low sales price. But then you can see what we can turn it in on the right hand side, which gives a high value.
I have a question.
Yeah, sure.
So you say you have people that find. How are you finding deals in Chicago? Um, is it you doing direct mail, or what are you?
We have
Working?
really, that's a great question, Jason. Especially now, I mean, prices are going up so much here, which is great when you flip it, on the back side. But on the front side, we're paying more for the property I'm looking in Chicago right now. It's a complete gut rehab. It's a 3-story, but it's in a great area. We're going to pay somewhere around $500,000 for basically nothing, a structure, an outside shell. Now, again, when we're done with it, it'll be, 1.2 to 1.3. But how that deal came to me is through networking. So, and this has really helped in this real estate investment community and training program that we have. We have really, there's thousands of people in this network across the country. And in the Chicagoland area, there's hundreds of them. And this was a friend of a friend. They knew that I was involved in real estate. They, I had a good reputation with the people that brought me in as someone that knew what they were doing. And this was a huge project. This is their first rehab project. So obviously he could have just did it as a wholesale deal to me, but he's not. He's actually going to be, if we go through with this, we're going to be partnering together. So networking is key to finding deals. I have done mailings. Jason mentioned mailings. I actually, have done targeted mailings in areas. We have a software program that it helps analyze deals. And I don't use it for that too much, but what I do use for it is the database. It has people that have had notice of defaults being sent to them. So I can put, in the last 6 months, who has had a notice of default in these areas, right? So they're facing foreclosure. Foreclosure's imminent maybe for these people. So I am sending mailers to them. I also do mailers for my subject to. See, I do it both ways. My subject to deals, and if you're not familiar with subject to, that's short for subject to existing financing. So I do a mailing to someone in a particular area that has little or no equity. That's my target, right? So I'm looking for people that have to sell and they have little or no equity. And what are their choices then? If they go on the market and if they sell on the market with little or no equity, by the time they pay maybe a traditional real estate commission, closing costs, attorney fees, maybe have to do some work just to get it up, it would cost them money to sell their house. Nobody wants to sell their house and have it cost them money to do so. And some people don't even have the money to do. So I've done targeted mailing to people with little or no equity in their house. And if they need to sell, one of the solutions that I offer them is a subject to, where they deed the property over to me. They stay on the mortgage. I legally sign papers, legally binding me to pay their mortgage until it's either paid off in full, or I refinance it, or I sell it. So those are some of the things that that work in that particular market. So again, mailing, I don't, but some people that I work with, we've done signs. We buy houses. We've actually put what we call bandit signs. I mean, we don't leave any stone unturned. We try to do it all. And I wish I could tell you, oh, there's one great method that this is the one you should use. No, if you're serious about it, you really got to do it all. You've got to be out there. I use wholesalers. So I'm on lists of people that when they get a good deal under contract and they want to wholesale it to me, they contact me. I've bought many houses through wholesalers. I do online auctions. So I bought properties through Hubzu, through auction.com. I've also done live auctions. I go to sheriff sales. So if you're not familiar with the sheriff sale, that's the term here. It might be a different term in your state, but sheriff sale is when it's actually going to foreclosure. That's the foreclosure process. And it is now at an auction, and the person foreclosing usually will start the bid at the amount that it's owed. Can't have it any more than that. Sometimes they can go less than that if they're willing to take a loss on it, but the amount that's owed on the loan is usually the opening bid, and then you start bidding and goes to the highest bidder. If it goes above that, how much is owed is going to go to a third party. So it's definitely one of the challenges and one thing that you've got to do, and you've got to spend some time and get some skills around finding properties. So long answer to a good question. And really I don't know of any real secrets. I mean, those are it. Those are the ways that we've been able to do it. Is there anything that you do, Jason, that you want to add to that you found to be helpful?
Historically, we've gotten all of our deals. We do between 6 and 12 a year from probate.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Just briefly explain to the group, and I can add if I need to, but just big picture, what's probate? If someone says, what do you mean you got into probate? What's probate?
Sure. Yeah. So when someone passes away, a personal representative is assigned by the court to deal with all of the things, including, getting the taxes and settling the estate, essentially. So when I go to the courthouse and I find the probate cases that are open with real estate involved, and then I send a letter to the personal representative offering help if they need it in any way, including buying the real estate or perhaps cleaning out the house or whatever. So that's kind of the high level of what I do.
Yep. Yeah, that's great. Thanks for sharing that. And and I guess the reason I always forget that, even though we've done mailings and people on our teams have done mailings for probate, and in that database that we have, probate leads are there. I think the reason it doesn't come up in my mind is I've actually never bought a house through probate. I've bought some where they were, it had been, what do I want to say, inherited by, 5 family members, and but it hadn't gone through the court system. It was already owned by them. And so I have bought houses in that situation, but actually going and contacting and getting leads that have panned out through probate, I hadn't. But you're right, it's a great lead source. And the person that teaches the class on creative acquisitions, that's his primary lead source.
Yeah, it's surprising. It's a niche. You really have to know what you're doing, and you have to be very consistent. So I'm growing, and now I'm actually branching out into different, bankruptcy, and a lot of the things that you mentioned before. I've never bought a house at an auction because around here it's so competitive. It gets bid up every time. I don't even waste my time anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, and you're right. It's pretty competitive here as well. You've got to go in with the numbers. I've never bought one at a sheriff sales auction. I bought it at other like REO auctions, live and online. But you're right, sheriff sale. And you got to know, you've got to work your numbers and know exactly going in what the maximum bid is. And, I always say this, you can't win against stupidity, right? So if you're bidding against somebody that doesn't know the numbers and you're not going to win. A lot of people say, why is it? And they think something's wrong with me or wrong with my numbers. They're like, why did you go to those 4, why did you go to 4 auctions and you didn't buy anything? I'm like, because somebody paid more than what the deal was worth. I mean, basically that's it, right? Or sometimes if they're sheriff sales, I mean, just they owe more than what it's worth as a real estate investor. But
that's happening around here a lot because there's so many people that want to get started. They're overpaying, and I just prefer not to do the deal and not lose any money, obviously, But I think people are losing money right and left around here right now. The market is crazy.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I did a live in person at our office in Downers Grove. I did kind of like this open forum. And I was teaching a particular subject, so we were covering something, but I had maybe 25 to 30 people in the group. And I started the meeting by going around just like I kind of did today. And I asked for everyone's experience in real estate. And you know what? It was quite amazing. Almost everybody had the same story. At least half the people had the same story. Well, I got started in real estate a couple of years ago. I bought my first property. I tried to flip it. I made money, I lost money. And so I haven't done it again. And then the next one, I've done one deal. So I bet you of the 25 to 30 people in the room, half of those people had done one real estate deal and never done it again because they lost money, right? And I have this saying, I always tell people this that are interested in our training, is I tell them this: I firmly believe that if you're going to be a real estate investor, you're going to pay for your education, whether you know it or not. You're either going to pay for it because you lost money on this deal, and then you learn one lesson and one, or it's a formal curriculum, or you're paying a mentor, or you're paying, there's somehow you're going to pay it. You're paying with your time, you're paying whatever. You're going to pay for it. Don't think that it's free. If it was free, everybody'd be a millionaire in real estate, right? So I firmly believe that part of that's maybe the teacher in me, right? A lot of people want to do shortcuts, and I had a room full of people trying to do the shortcut, and they lost money and they never did another deal again, which we don't want to have that. For sure.
Yeah, I agree. A mentor is a huge value. I've been working with one for about a year and a half or so in the multifamily space, and it's helped me accelerate my progress, exponentially.
That's great. Oh, I'm glad you brought up multifamily again. So when you did when you talked about your probate being one of your key lead sources, is that true of multifamily too, or is that just your single family flip?
No, that's just for the flipping company. Yeah. Brokers seem to be how you find multifamily.
Yeah.
I do some direct mail as well, but most deals I analyze come through. This one that I'm doing right now, I found on LoopNet, surprisingly enough.
Yeah, I can believe it. One of the best sources for multifamily is property management companies. Guess who hears about an owner that's unhappy with their property and they want to sell it, even thinking of selling it? The property manager. I've got somebody that's on our real estate investor team here. He facilitates the buy and hold and the multifamily study groups, like I do the fix and flip. And he has a management company. And one of his primary reasons for his management company, because we all know what a headache that can be. The primary reason for his management company is to get leads to buy these buildings, right? Not only leads to buy the buildings, but think about it. He knows the building. Nobody knows the building probably better than that property manager. He can really evaluate what he's willing to pay for it. And he's actually helped other people in our community buy many buildings that are off market, and he knows about them before anybody else does. And there's a troubled building. There's a landlord that wants to retire from it or move out of the area, want to divest. He finds out about it first. So I would encourage maybe getting relationships with some of those people. The bigger property managers that do multi-unit buildings in your area might be helpful.
It's a great tip. Thank you.
Yeah, sure. You're welcome. All right. Let's see here. That was a good question there. I don't know. Let's just look. I'll go through a couple more slides. And we had somebody join us and then she disappeared again. Somebody just came on and that's all right. All right. So here's just a few more pictures. Might spur some more questions. When I'm looking at doing the configuration of, this is the basement. So it's pretty much a clean slate. So that basement was easy. I don't really want to spend too much time there. But what I would like to do, here's how you can see where I took out the walls in this first floor, what it used to look like. And this was the coat closet that was in the middle of it. And I moved it over here to the corner. Side of that allowed us to do an LVL. Triple LVLs going all the way across. That beam that goes across and opens up the whole second or first floor. But what I did want, I did want to show you the bedroom though. This is take a little pride in this, my creative. And usually what I do is people say, well, how do you know what to do? My process is in going through and trying to maximize space, try to enforce value. I usually go through with my own idea first, what I would like to do. But then I either walk through with my architect, or we have a phone consultation and he's seeing drawings of it. But normally we're walking through it together. And I'll say, here's what I'd like to do. And I'll say, I'd like to move that wall, put it over here. I'd like to do that. And then he's looking at it from a structure standpoint saying, well, Randy, if you do that, you can, but you're going to have to run that beam here. You're going to have a support there. So really it's kind of that. And then when I go through it, he'll also say, okay, you mind if I play and maybe give you a couple other suggestions too? I said, sure. You can give me as many suggestions you want. We'll still go with my idea. No, we'll go look at other suggestions, and then sometimes you'll say them. Sometimes it'll be just subtle, Randy. Instead of putting the closet here, why don't we switch it and put the closet there because this, and this. I'm like, oh yeah, that makes sense, right? Get another set of eyes on it. So when I looked at this floor plan here on the left, this was the initial floor plan. To me, wasted space just jumps at me, right? What's the biggest wasted space on the left side there? It just jumps out at you. Anyone? What would you say is a huge waste of space?
The hallway.
Yeah, the hallway. Look, man, where the bathroom is all the way to the back. You have no choice but to have a hallway run all the way back because it was one bathroom shared by 4 bedrooms. So what I was doing all the time in my brain was, okay, how can I eliminate this hallway? How can I increase space, right? The only way to increase livable space, space that can be utilized by the owner is to limit that hallway. So see what I did was I created a master bedroom here. And that's one thing I'm doing in a lot of these older houses. They didn't have master bathrooms or master bedrooms or master suites. So I'm trying to do the new modern wow factor, the new modern amenities that everybody wants into these older houses. Well, you can see with this master, you walk in here now and you don't need a hallway because this whole thing is the master suite, right? You might say, well, there's a couple feet of hallway there, but that's just really a function to get to the closet and the master bathroom. We didn't have to have this long hallway here. So this is a big master closet, which we never had before. They had a closet here, but look, it was all the way down here. There was like a closet inside a closet. It was weird, right? And the stairs to the upstairs, I think, was maybe even here somewhere. It was, oh no, that was the basement. It wasn't stairs here. But yeah, we opened all this up and that helped us eliminate this. So by eliminating this, we can move this bedroom wider and then make room for the common bathroom right there. So now these 3 bedrooms have the common bathroom and the master has the master bathroom. So that's pretty typical of something that I would try to do. Here's an example. I just want to show you about redoing the attic. So again, we opened up this wall. That's the open floor plan. The whole kitchen was right there on the left-hand side. That is the whole kitchen. The refrigerator's on the other side, but that's it. Everything else is pretty much right there. That's the same shot. Now the kitchen is this big. Well, I want to show you, here's some of the showers. There's a basement before and after. It's typical of what I was just talking about. But this is what I want to show you. This is what I mean about forced depreciation and doing an attic like this. So that's the same shot. We did not dormer this roof out at all. That's the attic. That's the same dimensions. And a lot of times when I look at these houses, just like I ask them if it's something with an attic, just like I asked them about the basement ceiling height, I ask them about the attic ceiling height. And I kind of stand there sometimes if I'm there, I'll just stretch out my arms and see how far across here, how much room do I have that's 7 feet, right? 7 feet would be, a good, nice ceiling height in there. I mean, ideally you'd want 8, right? But I'd settle for 7. So how far across can I go and get 7 feet? How big are these rooms going to be? Well, we were able to put a bedroom back here, and it was already dormered out, and these windows were dormered out in the back end. The front of it is also dormered out, so we've got identical flip-flop. On the other side is another bedroom. And then over here, where this beam is, basically, we put the bathroom in over here. It was a little tight, but on the picture this picture on this side, that's right here's where the bathroom is. And let me show you that bathroom picture. There it is. You can actually see the slant of the ceiling, right? We had to do we did a custom glass shower. And this upstairs really kind of designed for the kids' rooms, right? But this was enough room. This is probably about 6 feet, maybe about at this level. Let's see if I can point to it. I'm having trouble with my cursor here. Where is it? Going down. There he goes. About right up here is about 6 feet to about this far. So it was enough to have a stand-up shower in there. And that's the same thing. You can see a little bit of the curve here, which is where the toilet is. So you're not really standing in that area. If you're sitting there, It's fine. Even standing there, it was enough room. So anyway, that was a good example. This was a very profitable flip that we did. And this is in the Beverly neighborhood of Chicago. In this, I would just like to show you that we do a lot of times the hardwood floor. That's another way that we're doing these older houses. That's the same floor. It was just buried under carpet. So you sand, and they sand, stain, and varnish, and that's what it looks like. Sometimes we're doing little repairs to it, but basically that's the same shot.
What's the price point on these houses?
Pardon me?
What's the price? What's the ARVs on these?
Yeah. So the one I just showed, now this is one we did a few years ago. This one sold for, I think it was about 325, 330, somewhere in that mark. And it was interesting. It was to someone in the military that had been reassigned. He was a recruiter. I forget which military service he was in. Might have been the Marines. He was assigned to the area, bought a house for him and his family. I think they did buy it for 325. He got reassigned like a year later. I'm sure that was not on his radar that he thought was going to happen, but he sold it for like 350. So, I mean, that's how much these prices have gone up, and him being in there. So like a year later, he was able to sell it for 350. But the other ones that I showed you, most of the houses that I've done in the last couple of years have been in the 300 mark, 300 to 350. Most of these are, and it really depends on the neighborhood. Now I'm doing one right now in fact, I'm doing two. The ones I showed you pictures of that's on the golf course. That one's going to be about 490 is what house right down the street sold, very similar. So my numbers are based on a quick sale at 475. We hopefully will get the 490 price. And then the other one I'm working on in the same neighborhood as the last house I just showed you. That's probably about that 475 mark as well. Yeah.
Okay, thanks. I was just wondering because the finishes are a lot nicer than what we use around here, but we're in 2 to 300.
Okay. Yeah. Gotcha.
I got a question for you, Randy.
Sure.
My daughter bought a house in Michigan, and it had a very similar attic to the picture that you just showed us. She's going to be using it just basically for storage, but I really like this concept of this idea because somebody bought it as a rehab property. It's only a 2-bedroom house because they extended the living room area. But my question is this: what kind of money is invested in a transformation like that attic that you just showed?
Yeah, well, that's a great question. So I try to do attics where, again, the ceiling height is enough that we don't have to dormer it out. So dormer it, if this is the roof line right here, some of them, if it's too short, then you have to dormer it out. And I've done that before. Don't like to because that's expensive, but I'm going to tell you that because there's drastically different prices, right? So without dormering that out, if you just create, drywalling, putting nice bathroom or putting one nice bathroom and 2 bedrooms up there, I mean, you could probably do that. And let's not talk about the HVAC system because that might require, again, because those attics will get very, very hot. So I'm almost always putting a dual system in, two furnaces, 2 AC units in those houses, with the basement and main floor being on one and the attic being on a separate one. Mostly because of the AC. Now you could get away with it and just have AC units in there, portable units, individual units. You could get by with it, but let's put the AC aside and let's just talk about framing, drywalling, and then if you're not putting hardwood, you're doing some less expensive materials. You could probably, and again, every contractor is different, but you could do that for probably under 15,000.
Okay. And the other question I had, how do you find, or do you use the same contractors? Because I notice on these projects are beautiful that you've done, but for them to work with you, to get to know you, get to feel your ideas, are you using the same contractors on these jobs, or are you looking for or finding different ones?
Well, I'll use them as long as they're good and as long as they stay with me. And the reason that is I've had a couple that I almost like taught them too well, because then they started doing their own projects and not mine. I've had a few leave because of that. I've had others that I just won't work anymore. And even though the projects might look beautiful, it might take too long. Like this one, for an example, is a contractor I stopped using for a while because even though the work was good, but I was micromanaging it, and it took too long. It eats into the profit. So I do try to stay, to answer your question, I try to stay with the same contractors. And, they're my customer and I'm their customer. We try to have that type of relationship. And most of them do a few projects for me. Sometimes I've made the mistake where someone's did really well on one of the houses. So the next time I want to give them 2 projects and it just stumbles them. They can't handle it. And they'll always tell you they can handle it, or they'll usually tell you they can handle it. But that's been probably one of my biggest mistakes and regrets, is that when I get happy with a contractor and one went really well, I say, okay, well, how many can you do? 2? Can you do 3? Can you do 4? And then that usually is disastrous. And a lot of these are very small time guys. That's why I'm getting good prices. They don't have a lot of overhead. It's just them in a truck and a couple of their guys, right? They don't have an office. They don't have a lot of the other overhead. So they're able to give me pretty good prices, but it's a little bit more risky. And I've had to fire contractors before. In my experience, it's been the biggest challenge of my whole business has been contractors. Nothing else is even close. I mean, I come very close. I mean, I'm almost always selling it for more than what my ARV is, because that's conservative. I'm getting good deals. I'm getting them at the right prices. I know how to furnish them or stage. This is virtual staging, but I know the finishes that will sell in an area. I can pretty much control and master most of that stuff. The wild card is those contractors. And if you find a good one, stay with them, do all you can to keep them, as I do. And it really hurt me. I think one thing is, I went from doing 2 or 3 at a time to like 9 in a matter of like a year time. So I was looking and almost, urgent and needy, and perhaps made some decisions on contractors where if I would have grown a little bit slower, I probably would have made better decisions and probably been more profitable even with less deals. So that would be a piece of advice. And by the way, that number I gave you, about 15,000 under that, when you're putting in a bathroom, it might be a little bit higher than that. But obviously, if you're putting in electric and you're putting in plumbing, that could definitely add to it. HVAC, that definitely doesn't include that. Now, when you dormer it, when you have to raise the roof out in a section, of course, it's going to depend on how big. But we just did one, just to give you an idea. It accommodated a bathroom, and that bathroom length there is probably 8 foot of bathroom, and then another 8, 6, probably another 7 foot of stairway. So that cost us about $8,000 to raise that roof up like that, right? You can see what a big difference is in that versus doing the whole thing maybe for 15. Now we added 8 just to raise the roof up, So, and that, of course, all that would take architectural plans, it takes permits and all that. If you're just finishing your attic and it's just drywalling what's there, and if their electrical is maybe already there, you may not even have to get permits for that. It's going to depend on the municipality. But certainly when you're dormering a roof in every place in the country, I can't imagine anywhere not requiring you to get permits, right? So that adds cost and time. Okay. I'm going to do a little time check here. Wow. It's almost been an hour. I want to go through just real quick, just to give you, just because I talked about it, I just want to show you just a little bit of my capital, my fundraising, my business model. So this is different. I'm avoiding all the things that I would have to do, all the regulations about accredited investors, non-accredited investors. I don't have investors, partners. And it's very important not to cross that line, because if I cross that line onto investors, I do have to follow a whole different set of rules. So here's what I do. I create an LLC, a limited liability company, right? So I create the LLC, and then I find partners, or partners come to me because I'm part of this big community of investors and real estate investors, people that want to be investors. They come to me oftentimes, or through these webinars or my in-person property tours, they come up at the end and say, hey, I want to talk to you more about being a partner. Well, I got to make sure that we establish a relationship, and that it's not an investment. We go out, get to know each other, have dinner. And most of these people I know already know from this real estate investor community. So here's how I normally set this up, is that these equity partners is what I call them. They provide 100% of the income. I provide 100% of the experience, training, knowledge, time, effort, so forth. And then we split the profit 50-50. That's kind of at its easiest kind of core of how that works, right? And say, well, wait a minute, are people really providing 100% and you're not putting any money in? Absolutely, right? Because think about it. I could do a project and let's say it takes 6 months. If I don't make them money, I don't make any money, right? That'd be like, I'm a volunteer to work for you for 6 months, for 9 months, whatever it takes to do the project, and then not get paid. I say that would be like buying a Panera Bread and telling the workers the first day, listen, I got this great compensation plan. Here it is. You're going to work for me hard every single day. And in 9 months, if you don't make a profit, if you don't make me a profit, you don't get paid. You'd have everybody quit on the spot. But that's the parameters that I work at every single day. I got to find the right property that's going to be profitable. I got to hire the right contractors. I got to manage the project. It's got to be done in the amount of time that we're projecting, and it's got to sell for what we want it to sell at. And then we split the profits 50-50. Now, where are they getting the money? And we talked about it a little bit earlier. Most of it is retirement accounts. They might not have 100, 200, 300,000 sitting in their bank accounts, but what they might have is in their retirement account. They might have left a company. Now that 401k is diverted or converts to a IRA, and they can now move it into a self-directed IRA custodian, and then they put this into our partnership. And I explained to them, they're not investing at all, and they're not even partnering on a flip. They are partnering on a business that currently is doing flips. It might do a rental property, and we have to have a permission. So there's a lot of safeguards to make sure this is not an investment. I'm sure Jason can appreciate all these. They have to vote. Every time we decide to buy a property, they vote on it, right? Every time we take on more debt, they vote on it. Every time we sell a property, they vote on it. What they don't vote is on the daily operations like paint color or which vanities to use. But all the major decisions, they vote on it, and it's in the operating agreement. And I put it in the operating agreement. Not only do they vote on it, it's got to be unanimous, right? So they can't ever come back and say, oh, it was just a passive investor. This was an investment. This wasn't a partnership. Look at the operating agreement. Do you have any say? Do you have say? Yeah, they have as much say as I do in what houses we buy. Now, the partners, since we work together, know each other. I've not had no one go against my recommendations, but I've got to prove my case. Here's the house. Here's the price I think we should pay for it maximum. And here's why. I got to make that compelling case. But they all have the right to say no. So they can't say I'm doing something with their money that they don't have control over. They're not a partner in. So that's just briefly on that. And then also private money. I have a lot of private money lenders that I use that are friends, relatives, people that have met me through the investor community. And I protect them just like mortgage companies are protected. They're protected with a promissory note and a mortgage that I record at the county recorder's office. And sometimes I have projects that are a combination of both. It might primarily be funded through this equity partnership model, but maybe we want to do 2 projects at a time, or maybe we want to do a larger project than what we have the funds for, then I'll bring on a private money lender. I want to open it up to questions. We're almost done here. Any questions about this funding model? Have you used this any type of thing like this before, Jason?
No. I have my business partner and I we partner obviously, but we have a LLC set up. So yeah, and whenever we bring in money, it's private mortgage, private money from an individual that holds the mortgage on the property. So I've been able to help people, make good returns doing that. But no, I know about this model, but I've never set anything up like this.
Gotcha. Yeah. Like I say, I do the private money as well. And people say, which is better? Well, there are pros and cons to both. At times I paid my partner on one deal. I paid him, basically they made 37% because we made 70, we made over 70. I think I paid him 34%. Let's see, we made 74%. So whatever that is, they made 37%. They made 37% on the deal. You say, well, you should have used private money. You could have gotten that money for a lot less. Well, that's fine, but there are some nice things about doing it with this business model. One thing, when we go to do a deal, we've got the cash sitting there in a checking account. And when we make an offer for cash and we show them that this asset, that we're not even getting a bank, we're not even getting private money. This is money sitting in a bank account owned by this LLC. And so a lot of times I've gotten deals $10,000, $15,000 less than the other offers, because the other offers are hard money or private money. And mine's like, hey, the cash is sitting there right now. Do you want to close tomorrow? Can you pull this together? I mean, that will get you much better deals, obviously. So, all right. Any questions about anything at all with real estate? Again, I wanted this to be an open forum. If you want to reach out to me, you've got my contact information there. I'd like to talk to you if you guys are at all interested. I might have just a couple slides. You know what? Now that I think about it, I think I have just a couple slides. I just want to give you an idea of the depth and breadth of the real estate classes that I'm a part of. And if you're interested in, we have something called the Essentials. We have something called the Profits course, which is just any business at all. It doesn't have to be real estate, any business, promoting your business at all and expanding your business. We've got what I think are the best instructors all over the country that have recorded these classes. We have business management classes, wholesaling and lease option classes. We have fix and flip classes, buy and hold. And each one of these that I'm showing are 8 hours recorded on-demand courses. So we've got multifamily. We have notes. We just had this guy, Jeff Armstrong, who's one of the largest note buyers in the country. He's our instructor. He just did a workshop on this as well. So this is buying notes or brokering notes or creating notes on deals as an acquisition strategy or as an exit strategy. Short sales and foreclosures, commercial real estate. If you want to get into commercial real estate and evaluating that, retiring in real estate with 1031 exchanges and lease options and multifamily property management and managers, accelerate. You can see how much, each one of these are 8-hour courses, right? So it's like getting a PhD in real estate investing. And this is the office that we're normally doing these meetings at in person, but we've been doing them online, and they're always offered online too for people anywhere in the country on demand. And what I would invite, Jason, someone like yourself, what I'd invite you to consider, because we've had some very successful real estate investors take part in this, and they do take the classes, but they don't have to. There's also an opportunity to share with others. And I don't know if you've had this happen to you before. I've had it happen to me. Somebody will hear about you or say, hey, I want to find out, Jason, can you teach me? Can you be my individual mentor? And you may not have the time to do that with your busy schedule. And so what I do in that case, just like Frankie alluded to, is I have them take these courses. No, listen, take these courses, and then I can mentor you, and I'm free to answer questions, right? But I can't start from ground zero, right? You need to get in these courses. And now the conversations that we have together are going to be much more meaningful, going to be much deeper. So I have them do that because these training courses, if you refer someone into these training courses, you can actually get compensated. The company pays out a substantial amount of money for you to enroll somebody in the courses, and then you don't have to be their mentors. That will be over and above, what you want. So we found it to be very helpful for some real estate investors that are successful, and they have people coming to them wanting people to train, wanting for them to train them on real estate. It's like, no, we got this great course. We got this great curriculum. Plug into that curriculum and I'll be available to answer, questions once you go through. So something to think about. All right, everybody, we're going to conclude there. You've got my contact information. Maybe I'll go back to that first screen. That's a good way. In case you didn't write it down or you joined us late. Also, you may be looking at us on YouTube right now. So go back to this screen right here. And that contact information is on the back. Anybody like to share or any final questions before we wrap up? Okay, listen, I appreciate you guys spending the Saturday morning with me. Hopefully you got something out of it. And I've gone through a lot of trainings, real estate trainings. And I always think, if you just get one little nugget out of this, one little nugget, like Jason mentioned, like he hadn't thought about property managers as being our lead source, a great lead source for multi-unit buildings. If you just take one little nugget and you can implement that in your business, it can make you tens and hundreds of thousands of dollars during the course of your career. So that's why I'm such a believer in this and getting trained and providing this stuff online for you. So again, thanks so much for joining me. And if you're part of my meetup group, which I know you two are in particular, look for different sessions. I'll be doing property tours, virtual property tours. We'll do when we have the Saturday workshops. If you're part of my meetup group, I can get you on some of those Saturday all-day workshops for free. The last one was notes. I forget what the next one coming up will be, but they're always great topics. And I give you exposure to some of our content and our instructors for free. So look for that on the meetup group. And if you haven't already, I appreciate you joining my YouTube channel. I'm trying to build the subscribers there. I want to get that up over 1,000 subscribers is my goal for next year. I've got a little ways to go. So if you can help me out there, I'd appreciate it. And I think you'll get some value out of it. So if I talk to you again on the next meeting, thanks so much, everybody. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Randy.
Your family.
Nice meeting you. Thanks.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Randy. Bye.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.